get organized yourself with notebook. And
Prasad,
maybe we don't have to use laptop today,
turn around.
but sometimes also make sure like you take your laptop and also start taking Google Classroom. And one thing I would like to remind regarding this unit, this is the last unit for the whole chemistry. Oh Jesus.
So what are we going to do for the rest of the...
It's a big unit.
Will it take that long?
And this is actually we have two units of this lesson. This unit acid and equilibrium, right? And then roughly we'll have 1-2% quiz dates. You can start writing the definitions. If you feel like you need to know those definitions by writing, I would recommend you to write down. And I might come around and check. After I share the learning goal, actually I'll do this part first. You know, like last minute also we took diagnostic test. Here also I'm going to take diagnostic test. And this diagnostic test is not graded. This is just to give me a sense where you exactly stand on this unit, which will help me to differentiate and come up with like different job or different tasks in different classes. Right? So do your best. It is not graded, but you have to take it seriously. It's not like if it is not graded, you don't answer any of the questions, because based on this, I'll plan the lesson for you guys. Right? So take it seriously, and maybe you might see like all of those questions you might have never seen before. Right? That's fine, but like try your best. Okay? So. And it should not take more than 10 minutes.
Checking, right?
Sorry?
Just checking.
Yeah, this is just, it's not graded. But you have to take it seriously.
Have we learned this before? No, we haven't.
No. Well,
That's
maybe
what
you
I want
have.
to check.
Maybe you
might
have.
not. That's what I want to get that sense.
I'm pretty sure I haven't learned it.
It's not graded, so.
Well, just do what you can, Prasad.
Okay.
Whose pen is it? Okay, where's your pens?
Oh, crap.
Where's your pens or pencils? Get them out. Prasad, see what you can do. Read it, please.
Now we're even.
Boom. Alright, now let's talk what is an acid. Okay, let's talk what is an acid. Okay, Zoe, what is an acid?
It usually contains a hydrogen ion.
Okay, yes, it usually contains hydrogen ion. Anyone else?
It's sour.
It's sour in taste, good.
Its pH level is below 7.
Good, the pH level is below 7.
Not all acids are. Like, some acids can be corrosive.
Yeah, some acids could be
Bit more
corrosive.
jellyfish.
Corrosive means you bite your skin off.
Usually, right?
No.
When dipped in litmus paper turns red.
Sorry?
When dipped in litmus paper turns red.
It turns red, it's going to be red. It seems like you know lots of things about acid. Okay, we'll talk about different theories of acid-base definitions later on. But now, in simple way, what is an acid? Acid is the substance that gives hydrogen ion on dissolving in water. So when you dissolve, like acid are those substances which gives hydrogen ion when they are dissolved in water. Okay, so if you could write down, please write down. Acids are substances that gives hydrogen ion when they are dissolved in water.
In water?
Water, like drinking water.
I know what is in the acid water. Can you cure acid with acid?
This test because that's the one thing you good for energy purpose.
So I will take an example. If you take hydrochloric acid, whose formula is HCl. So if you put hydrochloric acid in water, which I can also write aqueous, aqueous means dissolved in water, you get hydrogen ion and chloride ion. So acid generally gives hydrogen ion when they are dissolved in water. Okay, so this is hydrogen ion. So if you get this hydrogen ion, then that is an acid. Right? So in general, to generalize, I can also write acid in this form, so that when you dissolve acid in water, you get H plus, and always there is a negative ion anion, so I put A. Okay, this is in general, how does acid dissociate in water? Yes.
So acid is also water.
Yes, acid. We're going to talk about, like, not all acid has actually hydrogen in it, but for now we can look at this definition, which is according to Arrhenius concept. If it gives hydrogen ion in water, that is an acid.
And also there's the AQE.
Aqueous means dissolved in water, solution made in water. Right? So if you look at acid, the common acid that we generally take, you should be able to write this dissociation equation, and you always get hydrogen ion. Can some of you explain, one of you explain me what is hydrogen ion? Okay, let me ask, Joey, you have been answering. Niharika, tell me what is hydrogen ion? What it could be. What is an ion, first of all?
Polarity. Well,
Anything on the power, anything that has.
Niharika. Pia, what is an ion?
Particle.
Yes, right. It's a particle. What kind of particle? So with this activity, I'm trying to show what happens when skins are exposed to acid first of all, right? Let's see what happens when our skins are exposed to acid.
that's easy.
Good luck, Fry.
Nothing happens.
Who knows? It's going to explode.
Check yourself, please.
Yeah, it's a little bit clear.
Is it turning white? No. Oh, is it?
If you come close,
No, that's bubbles.
but like if
It's
you come,
frying it. Just kidding. Wait.
if you see from this level, you can see it's slowly turning into white,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh, I see it now.
It is frying.
Yeah, you can come and see what happens. Yeah,
Oh, I see it.
right? It's turning
Yeah.
into white.
Is that the reason why people like
I'll turn white if
Do you know what is this process called? If it is like turning into white, so what actually happened to the protein here? Exactly, that's called denaturation of protein or denatured protein, right? So this is generally what happens when you might have done that in biology. What happens to acid at higher pH or low pH when pH range change? that also called denatured, right? So basically, because of denaturation, you can see it's turning into white. It's also like when you're boiling egg, does it turn into white solid? When you're boiling egg? So which is also denaturation of protein, but that's because of the heat, right? And here, if it is exposed to the acid, it also denatures the protein. And you can imagine what happens if it is concentrated acid and your skin is exposed to it. Okay. Now say, in lab, that is the reason why we always talk about lab safety, right? So that's the reason why I'm using gloves, right? And if you're like using a lab, maybe a good idea would be also to cover your eyes with glass, right? So you can see like the skin, like our eyes, if it is exposed to this acid, what might happen, right? Okay, now I have a question for you. If somehow accidentally, if you spill acid into your skin, what would you do?
Go to the.
Do you think is it a good idea to put base so that it neutralizes it?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pour some
I think we should put
Coca-Cola.
some.
Pour some Coca-Cola on there.
Ah!
Is that a base,
Logan.
Logan?
So
Is
here,
Coca-Cola a base?
yeah, never do that. Okay, people might think because it is exposed to acid, to neutralize it, a good idea to put base, but you never know. Like base might even damage the skin, right? So if accidentally if it is exposed to acid, good idea would always be to clean that with water, and you have a shower also like that, right? So depending on like yes.
Gotta get in the shower.
Yeah, there's a shot
Now see
right
what
there.
happens if our skin is exposed to base.
I don't know.
So this is this is sodium hydroxide.
And kaboom.
Wow.
That's
Right,
instant, yeah.
That's instant white.
Also,
We can see.
Generally, we generally think acid is more dangerous than base, right?
No.
Now see what happens when this egg white is exposed to base. It's definitely not the same thing, but do you see what's happening actually here?
I can't see. Oh,
It's turning into gel, right?
Oh,
Yeah. Can you
No
see
one
from
from
that?
Oh my gosh, it's like,
So just imagine if our skin is exposed to base, like if you spit base in the skin, right? So this might happen. So whenever we have lab reactive acid base, we have to be very careful, and that's the reason why like Miss Paris and I always come behind and ask you to button up your lab coat, wear safety glasses, gloves, right? So always remember of these things.
Won't the
whenever you
acid
have-
go right through those gloves?
Sorry. So depending on like if I'm playing with concentrated acid, I use another like rubber gloves, which is even like stronger than this one, right? But generally, before you guys use here, we generally use diluted acid, right? But still, always a good idea to take some safety precautions. Okay. All right. Let's get back to the table. Basically, you can cut them, right? Like separately name and formula, and it's a kind of like not jumble, but basically you have to match. Here is the name and here's the formula. And after that, you write on that in your notebook, right? Write on that on a notebook, and you have 10 minutes time to do all of these things, right? After 10 minutes, you can actually within this 10 minutes you can do it that in 5 minutes, cut that and like match the thing, and you can call either Miss Paris or me to check. And next 5 minutes, as a pair, you start talking about this. You ask each other. You can ask formula and then tell the name, or you can give the name and ask your friend to write the formula, right? That's how you try to remember name of the acids and base and its formula, right? And before we go, you have to take exit slip, which is basically oral quiz. So I'll give a question and I'll pick a question, and that's your exit slip for today, right? So by the end of this class, you should at least be able to name these acid base. You should be able to name and write the formula for these acid and base, right? So what do you do first? You cut them into small pieces, and you, on table, you just mash them up, right? It's not in the perfect order. You have to mash them up. And once you finish, you copy either Miss Paris or me. And once it is correct, you copy that in a notebook. Once you're done, as a pair, keep asking to each other, and then towards the end, we'll take exit slip quiz, right? Okay.
On you should no, but you know what you really want to do.
Maybe that is what three of you one group.
You see if I can see this.
This group and this group.
You don't have valid.
You don't know.
Here you are.
Everybody memorizes each.
Yeah, you guys here.
Wait. Dilgu, what is the formula for nitric acid?
Wait. H.
Others can also start thinking.
H2SO something.
S2SO something.
That's for sulfur.
That's sulfur.
That's sulfur.
I know, Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Gibson.
Oh, never mind,
It has nitrogen in it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hello. Yes.
Aren't you hello?
No, he's not home.
What's the formula, hello?
Nitric acid. Ritika. Neha, what's the formula for nitric acid? N. Niharika.
I'm going to be raising my hand, but I'm more.
Okay, remember.
H and O.
Except for what acid? All of the acids names started with H. I know. See. You have nitric acid, means it must have nitrogen in it. If it is sulfuric acid, it has got sulfur in it. If it is hydrochloric acid, see. The name. If you look at the name carefully, it has got a clue in the name itself. Right? So start thinking. What is nitric acid, Joey?
HNO3.
HNO3.
So the
Okay. Acetic acid is different, but other than that, the three acids that we did, actually there is a hint in the name itself. Okay. Next.
And wait for your name to be called. Don't yell out the answer.
Sim.
NaOH.
Now the challenge. Okay. Calcium hydroxide. Anushka.
CA bracket OH bracket close to.
Good. Because next class we'll start learning about acid base and its properties, and we'll also start learning about the chemical equation, chemical reactions of acid and base. For this, you need to know name of the commonly used acid and base. Right? So come prepared. As I said, I reminded you, I'm going to post the page that I said I couldn't share in Google Classroom. Right? Come prepared. So you start doing small warm-up. Could be in the form of quiz, could be in the form of game, could be in any form. Right? But you need this for our next lesson. So please come prepared.
Sit down.
Okay?
Sit
All right.
down. Or you'll stay here longer because you got here late. You got here late, so sit
Tasting
down.